Yesterday, we heard from Steve Massengale. Today, we hear from his opponent, former Lubbock City Councilman Mark McBrayer, who is also running for Lubbock Mayor in the runoff, which is June 15th. Mark, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you, Matt.
We really appreciate you. Okay, so you're an attorney by trade. You spent the last 2 years on the Lubbock City Council. You also happen to be a minister as well. What in your background prepares you to be Lubbock's next mayor?
Well, first of all, just the 2 years on the city council. Don't have as much experience as my opponent does, but experience isn't everything. You have to have enough to where you know kind of how the city works and what you're working with, what a budget looks like. I remember the first time I said I was going to run, I sat across from Jeff Griffith, who I replaced, and he shoved 2 volumes of a city budget this big across the desk to me and said, there, you can have it and look at it. And I went, oh, this is what I've gotten into. So that has prepared me somewhat, but an attorney, you learn how to look at issues and try to resolve differences between parties. I mean, that's your goal oftentimes. Attorneys don't go to trial as much anymore. We try to mediate things, settle things, so it's listening to both sides and trying to bring people together. And of course, as a minister, it's just listening to people. So all those things, I think, have helped prepare me for this job.
Steve mentioned to us that you two actually agree on a lot of things, but one place where the two of you separate is growth. He said that he's pro-growth, but you're anti-growth. What's your response to that?
Well, first of all, I don't even know where he gets that idea. It's a false statement. What I do say is, I grew up in Lubbock. I remember in 1960, I remember the population was 128,691. I was one of those kids who figured that out. I wanted to know our city was bigger than Amarillo as a kid, and finally we got bigger than Amarillo. Lubbock grows. It grows because it's a great place to live. It's a great place to raise a family, start a business. We've got Texas Tech. We've got the medical stuff here. Lubbock is going to grow. It doesn't grow because of Steve or me. It grows because of all the internal factors in it. Our job is to kind of get out of the way of that growth and make it possible. It's going to happen. I am not anti-growth. We have to manage our growth, and we have to be able to pay for the infrastructure that goes along with that growth. And so that's maybe, I don't even know if there's really a difference between us on that. I am not anti-growth.
In a few words, can you explain your original vote on that very, as we know, controversial sewer line ordinance from the city council? As we know, the council has now rescinded that original ordinance, but why at the time was it a good idea to council, but now not so much anymore?
Well, when we voted on it the first time, it just came to us as a proposed ordinance, a change in the ordinance, and they gave us some financial figures as to the effect on our budget. They said they did about it cost about $800 per job for the city to do about 1,000 of them a year, $800,000 to $1 million. And by putting this cost over on the citizens, that didn't seem like that large of an expense for something that might only come up once in 30 years. I mean, you can have a air conditioning unit go out and spend a whole lot more than that. And the advantage, they said, was people could get it done quicker. They wouldn't have to wait on the city crews, and city crews would be released to do other things. All that made sense to us until we started getting the figures back from these plumbers as to how much it would cost, and it was into the tens, $10,000, $13,000. That's the point where I said, whoa, I think we made a mistake here. We need to stop. I was the first one to say we needed to take another look at it. So, I mean, that happens frequently. You rely a lot on information you get from the people at City Hall, but citizens will let you know if you made a mistake.
Oh, yes, they will. Real quickly, last question, Mark. Is there an issue that hasn't been talked about much throughout this election season that you feel is very important to you, or it's a priority to you?
Well, I've tried to talk about the 3 issues most important to me, which are getting control of our crime problem, which everybody realizes we have a problem with. We've got a new police chief here now. We need to get our police pay up to where we keep those people. That's been talked about a lot. Lower taxes, or keeping taxes low, that's an area where Steve and I disagree. He's always raised taxes. He's voted for a tax rate that would raise people's taxes. I voted for a tax rate my 2 years there that would not have raised people's taxes. I'm committed to that. Neighborhoods is probably something that doesn't get as discussed as much. I am very much, and maybe this is where he says I'm anti-growth. We need growth, but we can't have growth that disrupts and destroys neighborhoods. People live in neighborhoods. That's where they get the sense of security and safety, and what they love about a city is where they live. And I'm very protective of our neighborhoods, and I will continue to talk about that. It probably doesn't get talked about enough.
Mark, thank you so much. Remember, early voting for the runoff starts June 3rd. That election day is June 15th. Mark, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Terry?